Hello, Judy.
Hey there.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Do I have to read the preamble? Oh, right. So,
Do you want me to go get your stuff out of the car? Later.
What is that? That's what it looks
yeah, this is the one we're supposed to use and this,
like.
and then
I'm
we're,
trying to find mine. That's why.
now you got one.
Thank you.
What is it?
It's
That's the code, that's the fine schedule that the attorney provided us that we're working off of now. And we shouldn't talk, wait till the meeting starts.
Do you have another copy, Jamie?
This is a little more to it than that, so I'll wait till the meeting.
Hello. You have a case before us? Oh, we don't have a sign-in sheet? Oh, yeah. Who's doing good?
We're using the agenda.
Town's been in town for a long time. Well, I say he's been in town. We've been, that's good. That's good. Thank goodness. No, we've been, dealing with, some
If you
events,
would just sign next to your case.
they're going through. Uh, One of them going through the stages, and it's passed, and now we're dealing with the husband.
We have a little bit of a technical difficulty
Yeah, they were 82
today.
and 92, so. So he's been had his hands, but thank goodness he's been able to do that.
Should, well, no, you should have to be sworn in. Yeah, no,
No.
because you don't have a, not your case technically.
It's 6:30. One.
We're having technical
Oh.
difficulties.
Well, Raphael's on top of it.
You good? You Good to go? Okay. I'd like to call to order the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board meeting of Wednesday, February 22nd. The time is 6:32. Would the code officer please call roll?
Luciano Nibbs, Code Compliance Officer for the Village of Biscayne Park. Roll call. Janie Anderson. Rodolfo Barrientos. Dale Blayton.
Here.
Judy Hammelberg.
Here.
All present.
What I would like to do is take item 5, the preamble and swearing in, and flip that up now, because I feel like those two things should come ahead of any actual business conducting. So if that's okay with everybody, we'll do the preamble and the swearing in before we get into the meat of the meeting.
Fine with me.
Good evening, everyone. This is the meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board. The board is authorized pursuant to Chapter 14 of the Village's Land Development Code to ensure compliance with the village's Code of Ordinances. The members of the board are citizens and residents of the Village of Biscayne Park. We volunteer our time and we are not paid for our services. The purpose of each hearing is to give any alleged violators the opportunity to contest the decision of the code compliance officer, which resulted in the issuance of a notice of violation, and to determine whether a violation of the village's code has occurred or is occurring. We are not authorized to dismiss violations based on hardships, ignorance of the fact, or that others may be guilty of the same violation. These hearings are conducted in a quasi-judicial manner. Our responsibility is to act much like a judge in a court, and that is to hear cases presented by the village code compliance officers and to hear contradictory arguments presented by the alleged violators. We are not authorized to change the code. The village commission is solely authorized to enact or revise codes. Conversely, neither the commission nor the village manager have the authority to overrule the findings of the board. Pursuant to Chapter 162 of the Florida statutes, orders of the board can only be appealed to the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. We have the authority to assess and order the payment of civil penalties, to issue orders having the force of law, to command whatever steps are necessary to bring a violation into compliance, and to assess administrative costs. In order to make a finding upholding the code compliance officer's decision, we must find that there is substantial, competent evidence that the named violator was responsible for a violation of the relevant section of the code as charged. All documentary evidence presented by the parties must be submitted for placement in the hearing file. No documentary evidence will be considered unless the alleged violator or code compliance officer submits a copy for the hearing file. Each party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, to introduce exhibits, cross-examine opposing witnesses on any matter relevant to the issues, even though that matter was not covered in the direct examination, to impeach any witness regardless of which party first called them to testify, and to rebut the evidence against him. If you intend to address the board and you haven't signed in, please do. Also, anyone wishing to address the board, please stand and raise your right hand so that you may be sworn in. You're reminded that this board is a quasi-judicial board and false testimony can be penalized. Raphael, would you?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Do we have any additions, deletions, or withdrawals?
None.
Minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Any changes,
When did I stop?
corrections? I just have little ones. Bear with me, let me get to where I was. In the minutes. Agenda item 5. Agenda item 7D. I think that was the only two. If my name could get spelled correctly in those two. Jayne instead of Janey. That's all. Minor.
Well,
Not mine.
with those, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Okay. We're ready for our first case.
Old business, 826 Northeast 121st Street. This is an update from the attorney. Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer for the Village of Biscayne Park.
What we are submitting into the record is an update finally from the engineers on this case.
So we take a couple of minutes to at least glance through it.
Sorry for the delay, but it came at the last minute, so that's why we weren't able to attach them as a backup.
Have you both had the chance to read it? Would you mind summarizing it for the record so we don't take these folks' time? Bear with me, I owe an apology to Commissioner Ansler. If you have started us. Commissioner Ansler was nice enough to join us tonight. She's asked to take just a couple minutes to introduce herself. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much. I'll just take a minute. I just wanted to formally introduce myself. Commissioner Amsler, newly elected since November this past year. I just wanted to come see how, the board actually treats these matters, the very serious matters, and at the same time, just take this opportunity to engage with residents. I have passed my card around with my number. You can reach me at veronicaamsler.com as well. If you want, there's a little bit of information about myself, or you can sign in for a blog. But this is basically just me asking you to engage in any matter that you might have. These are sensitive matters, but they could be really about anything going on in the city itself. And then I'll make some time for us to meet, to make a Zoom call, a phone call, a text, anything really works. At the end of the day, our job is to really get the engagement with the community and get their feeling on how things are going, what the issues might be, besides our monthly agendas, which tend to be very packed. But then I don't want to forget the fact that every day, every normal person walking on the street might not know that we even exist in this cabin. So this is an opportunity for us to say, we're here, so feel free and not be shy to engage with us at any time, in this case, me, okay? So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you for coming.
Well, if y'all are looking at, I briefly see it, just the last page basically says that cost does not exceed the 50% of the value, and I guess they can proceed with obtaining a permit and starting the renovation or.
50% of the building area
Right.
does not apply. The 50% market to renovation cost ratio does not apply. Well, that's what they're saying, but I haven't seen, we don't know yet what our response will be, do we?
I would leave that for the building official to say, but just for people who are not aware of what this case was about, this property was declared an unsafe structure. And it had to go through a process where engineers and our building official had to have several meetings, inspect the property, and make sure that it abided by the code, building code, which I can't speak to. Again, the building official should speak to. There are certain requirements for unsafe structures that are required. If an unsafe structure, if an engineer, I should say this, can confirm that the structure, only 50% of it is damaged, they can actually go ahead and fix it. In this case, what the engineer has confirmed in the last page of this report is that, yes, they can go ahead and fix this structure because it only had 50% of the building area having substantial damage. So in comparison to the value of the property and the damage of the property, they say they could go ahead and fix it. So an engineer has confirmed that now. I believe our building official is okay with it, but I don't want to speak on his behalf. If the board would like for him to come and testify, I would be happy to have him come to the next meeting.
If that would be possible, I think
Yeah.
that would be wonderful.
I think to clarify for the people in the audience who it probably sounds horrific to, I moved into this village in 1996. The place has been vacant and dilapidated since before I moved in.
For anyone who may not. be-
It's not a house that's being lived in. It's a vacant structure that's been dilapidated since before 1996.
That would be an imposition if we could do that. And he could enlighten us a great deal more since this will come back in front of us in April, I believe is what we decided. And it would be good for us to have.
The building official come and give a statement,
That would be
the
great.
position of the village.
Thank you so much. Okay. On to 6B.
Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer for Village of Biscayne Park. Next case, EEN 21-0753. Address 11201 Northeast 9th Avenue. Property owner Michael J. Lynott and W. Lee.
May I just interrupt for a second? I thought we were going by those present.
I was thinking it because we had so few that we go in this order, but you're correct.
Yes, we are going by those present. And in this case, we have Linda as a witness, and she was here first. And this is
Okay.
why we.
But are we going ahead with the case without Mr. Lynott?
We were hoping he would be here, and the plan was for him. Would you like to wait a little bit?
People don't always come. I mean, we have at times tabled cases for months and they still don't come.
How about if we
someone can't
table
make-
it for a little bit and let
if
somebody
someone
else come
can't
up?
make a Meeting, they normally ask to postpone their hearing once they get the notice of, notice to appear. And if you didn't ask,
Yes, we will wait and see if the former commission comes. Right.
We'll hear the cases that are, the residents that are currently here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Linda.
Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. Next case, CEN -22127. Address 11780 Northeast 8th Avenue. Property owner, B Park 117 LLC. Violation, Chapter 6.3.2. This is for a garbage can, trash receptacle not screened from view. Violation was issued on December 23rd, 2022. In regards to this particular case, the property owner has achieved compliance by removing the trash receptacles. And
Currently in compliance?
he is currently in compliance, and at this time, I'd like to submit some evidence.
So the receptacles were left in front of that garage for a very long time, and we received several complaints. So we finally issued a violation, and now he's been taken care of.
I guess my,
Any questions?
no, my question is, I thought these were administrative, an administrative, fine.
Yes, in a normal situation, this would have been an administrative case. But because of the nature of the way the property was, it was left abandoned for a very long time, and there were several other violations. I thought that this would be a case that, if not in compliance, I would bring to the board and get a significant fine for it if there was no compliance.
Because it would seem the administrative citations are more used for,
The minor,
once and done,
right,
and not for something that has become
this one was,
months, if not
Right.
years long. It kind of takes it to a different level.
right, but this property had issues with it, going on with it, that you will hear from the next case that there's been significant changes.
Yeah, I saw the next one. I was just wondering why it wasn't an administrative fine and then escalating administrative fines.
We couldn't escalate administrative fines.
No?
We can bring them to the board.
Yeah.
It would have been the same small amount,
Oh, okay.
but if you looked at the list of complaints we received and looking at the property in its totality, I thought bringing this case to the board, escalating this would have more significant impact.
All right. Yeah.
Results.
Judy, Rodolfo, any questions?
Now, I visited the property yesterday.
Yesterday,
Aren't we supposed to?
what's the question? I didn't get the question.
I'm sorry, then I guess I recused myself.
No, you just have no questions.
Oh, I have no
You're a
question.
resident if you
Oh.
went by it, but you.
Yeah.
I have no questions if the property owner, I'm sorry, so your name and your relationship to the property?
My name is Randy Anglin, and I'm one of the owners of the property.
Is your microphone on, sir?
Oh.
So it has a tendency to switch on.
Hi, is that better? Closer, closer, closer. All right. All right. Hold on. It's a little higher. So, hi, good evening. My name is Randy Anglin. I'm one of the owners of the property. And just wanted to come and attend the hearing tonight and see if there's anything I can answer, any questions you may have around the issues.
Really, this is. I mean, this one has, another one that has gone on for quite some time. that
Sure.
That property has been in, let's just say, a state of ill repair.
Right.
But I
Sure,
don't
certainly.
have
So
any
some
further questions.
backstory around the property. So property is purchased June, July, I'm not sure when, of last year. The intent is to demolish the home and build a new construction property. We've gone through several design review meetings here in this cabin, and we subsequently passed recently, I think it was in November, which now gave us the opportunity to demolish the property. Well, I'm sorry, I take that back. It gave us the opportunity to go for final approval for a new construction loan, not a new construction permit.
Construction
then
fence.
Also, it allowed us the opportunity to submit for a demolition permit as well as a construction fence permit. So we submitted that permit for the demolition as well as a construction fence. I came back, I don't know, came not too long ago to really pay for the permit or pick up the permit. I was informed that we submitted the construction fence and permit together. So we had to separate the construction fence from the, from the demolition. So which we did,
Right.
and it's ready now. So that's been approved and we are ready to, so that's, just some backstory around
We
what's.
need
been
to work on this first violation before we get into the second one.
Sure.
If there are no more questions, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that, find that the property was in violation on case number, CEN -22 -127. The violation occurred and that's, fine of $250. Am I reading this correctly? That's what I thought. Assess a fine of $250. Property is now in compliance. There's no, daily fine thereafter.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion
I mean-
passes four, I'm sorry,
I, none opposed.
motion passes 4-0.
Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. Our next case, CN 22-126, address 11780 Northeast 8th Avenue. Property owner, B Park 117 LLC. Violation, Chapter 8.4.1, property maintenance. Failure to maintain property. This violation was issued on December 23rd, 2020. In reference to this case, we observed on the property that the garage door was left ajar. We had unsightly paint discoloration, damages to the soffits to the front and side of the property.
Okay, first question is why all the violations were limited to one? Why, since the roof will likely require a permit, the garage door a permit, and then we have all the paint and unsightly issues, why not three? As opposed to just everything into one?
So I'll first add to the history of the property that he gave from the time he bought it. Before he bought this property, it was owned by a lady that was very ill, very old, and she has been moved to a nursing home. So it stayed empty for a period of time and it deteriorated. So when we issued these violations, we had received several complaints actually for cats living on the property. They were her cats. They populated and repopulated and became a big problem for the neighborhood. The neighbors were feeding them. I had been out there several times with the police chief. We took some measures to have people come from outside to neuter the cats so we could decrease the population and all of that. So one of the reasons why the cats hadn't moved from the property was because the garage door was ajar and they would go under the garage door and live in the garage, and it was difficult to get them out of there. When they bought the property, like he says, their plan is to demolish this property and build something else.
Okay.
Now, with a demolition permit on a property, all these violations now become null and void because the building is about to go.
Right.
What I appreciated that the respondent did was close off the garage door for now while they're waiting for their
Thank
permits
you.
to,
Yes.
go through the process
That's
of
just,
approval.
that's just not unsafe from the standpoint of little four-legged creatures. Little
Children.
two-legged creatures who get mischievous and go look for things.
Right.
Yeah, thank you
So
for
he,
doing
he,
that.
he took care of that problem and he, as he said, he has applied for a construction fence. That's going to also,
But to
supply
show
some
you
more.
how long this has been in this state, there is a candidate's handout from the election that's still on that door in December, which is a month and a half after the election.
Right.
So it kind of tells you that it was ignored for quite a
For
while.
a minute. Right.
Well, that would have been gone. Makes
So if there was no knowledge of the demolition permit, then
Mhm.
we could have gone ahead and issued,
Sure.
you
But
know,
that-
several
No,
violations.
but
for the
that's
several
pointless, of
violations.
course, if he's going to do the one big tear down, of course.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. Questions?
No questions. I mean, I see the notice of violation is 12/23, so whether it's for that or not, going by the notice of violation. And now it's been secured and the property as far as debris and all in front of it has been removed. So. any other
And the
questions?
permits are
And the
in process.
Permits
The
are
permits
being
are in
processed,
process.
given the testimony, true. I mean, like to make a motion, if somebody wants to. In case number CEN -22-126. I'd like to make a motion that the property was in violation, is now come into compliance with securing the property and applying for, the proper permits. Assess a fine of $250 and no daily fine.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, sir.
So-
I appreciate that.
And also one last thing, I'm a resident here in Biscayne Park. So I raise my children here, right? So I get
Then
the
you know-
need and the necessity and why it's important to do what you're doing. So I appreciate it and, I get it. So,
I mean, not
appreciate it.
welcome. I mean, obviously been here. Good to see you.
I've been here, 4 years now. So I really enjoy the area and the neighborhood. It's a great place to raise kids and I love, in the 4 years I've been here, it's changed quite a bit. Right? I love to see the younger kids coming in the neighborhood. It's dynamite. So just
Well, thank
anyhow,
you, sir. I
well done.
appreciate that you are now making the effort and that you've come and taken the time to explain everything to us. Much appreciated.
I think he was complimenting us, calling us the younger kids.
I don't think so, Dave.
Hey, thanks, Randy. We'll send you an order in the mail. Yeah, copy of it.
Thank you, sir.
Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. Our next case would be CEN -22-10, address 1002 Northeast 117th Street. Property owner PRBP3 LLC, violation Chapter 8.4, failure to maintain property. In regards to this property, it was observed that the property had a broken fence, unsecured shed, dirty sidings, damaged lattice, unsightly objects scattered on the lawn, for instance, a tire, sink, garden hose.
I have the same question as I had with the last property. Why one violations when you have, the fence would be one issue because that will likely require a permit. The shed would require a permit. Then we of course have all the unsightly part. Why in this case? I understand with the other gentleman, if he's going to do a tear down, there was really no point. But is that the same thing here? Is this going to be a tear down? Because if not, I have to wonder.
This is one case that I agree with you. We haven't heard anything from the respondent. I'm glad to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
So I do need to ask you to speak up, and that mic has a bad habit of
Yeah.
turning off, so.
And you are right. Every one of these violations may need a permit. Yeah, we'll need a permit. And considering that we put
Hello.
lump them up in on one violation, I would suggest
Working?
to the board
No.
that
Yeah.
you give a fine if you find them in violation for each on one violation. You could increase the fine. You could do that. The idea of just having 5 violations on one property
Actually, we can't.
sometimes we cannot do that.
It's how it's
Yeah.
cited.
It's how it's cited. You can't do
So-
that. There's no way.
But we understand
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I get it.
so
Now, can we at least give different compliance dates? Because logically, the fence,
Will
we
take
gotta be
time.
realistic.
Right.
So he's not gonna get a fence permit tomorrow. Absolutely. The cleanup could have a much shorter time frame. Can we do that?
Oh, absolutely. And treat the violations separately,
Because
but I
we
understand
would-
you can't find them separately, but you could,
We would be running afoul of state statute if we up the fine.
right? And I would like,
Technically, this is a first violation.
yes, and I would like to add that our reinspection today proved that they haven't done anything to improve the situation. Everything is still the same way we found it when we issued the violation.
That's why it's so critical when you see something like this. Again, I understood the last case, that's a totally different animal. But this, when you have three clear standalone.
Well, Janie, we don't know if it's a different situation. We need to hear.
No, but
He hasn't
we're not
applied for
hearing him
anything.
volunteer that he's, and they didn't know. They would have needed to know that. But yes, true.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hi, how are you? Rodrigo Pintos here. I'm the owner of the property. And similar to the last gentleman, I have a few other properties in Biscayne Park that I'm building. This is one of them. We've applied, we're going through planning process. Literally the same issue as the last gentleman that was here. We bought the property, dire state. We're going through the plans to demolish it. And I mean, we'll take care of the shed, closing it, but I mean, it's falling apart, like the doors are falling apart. That's a fact. Same as the front door. I mean, the property is in very bad shape. So I drove by it last week. I didn't see any tires or any sinks on the front. Maybe on the side because they have the laundry on the side. But I mean, it's disgusting to say the least because the property is in very bad shape again. So either I can go and get a fence permit and just close down the site so we can secure it that way until we get a demo permit.
You're gonna
But
need
it,
The shed will need a permit. Am
I mean,
correct, Maureen?
what I think,
If he's talking about a demo permit, are you talking about demolishing the house?
right, we're going through plans, but in terms of like securing the property, I think probably the smartest way to do it is just get a fence permit, lock it, so there's no access to the property itself while we go through plans.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes,
please?
sir.
Clarify what you're talking about, a fence permit. Are you talking about a demolition fence permit
Well,
or?
I'm
Just-
talking about
or
just
a
a security
fence?
fence, like a
Please
a-
clarify.
a construction fence,
Bingo.
correct, a construction fence while we get our demo permit. So that way we secure the entire site.
So it's a demolition fence that you want to apply for
That's correct.
because chain link wouldn't be allowed. If you're talking about demolition, otherwise you're going to put you're going to put in a lot more expensive fence.
Correct. That's correct.
Just want clarity.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's correct. The chain link, demolition, construction fence.
Not chain link
No, well,
construction thing.
a,
Have chain link.
a construction fence, right? A demolition fence, it's a,
To obscure. you're
right,
talking
to,
about.
to secure the property because it,
So you're stating here tonight, your intent is to demo this property.
yes, that's correct.
However, the difference between this case and the previous case is the previous case has an application, has a
Right.
permit in the system.
This
They
is,
don't have any permits.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
talking
getting to
about
that.
applying, I'm so sorry. you
Oh,
can go
well,
ahead.
we've been,
I'm jumping the gun.
we've gone through one review meeting so far, so it should be in the system.
Because those were my questions. You said going through planning process. I wanted to clarify, what did you mean by going through the planning process? Have you been to the planning and
Yes, sir. We
design?
met with Gage and the
Okay,
rest of the.
So
the
you've already
team.
had one of those meetings,
Yes,
all right? Don't you have to submit through the village,
Building
Yep.
a
permit.
building permit
Yeah,
before you even get the P and Z?
Yes.
oh, of course, we submitted. If not,
Okay,
we should, it should be in the system. If not, I can come tomorrow with SB and,
have you formally been in front of P and Z where you have discussed with the entire?
no, I've
board,
been,
Or you just had a conversation with Gage?
no, I've formally been in front of P and Z presenting the review for this specific project. Yes, so I already met with him.
all right, I've got a little clarity. My only issue was, this was, the violation was, started on January the 13th. It's now, February the 22nd, and nothing's been done, not even securing that open to the backyard with the dilapidated shed.
I understand.
Those are my issues, and
Look,
to
I'm
differentiate from
happy
the
to
previous.
pay the violation because it's the right thing, it corresponds. I'm not here to, but I would like to also see if we can get a demolition fence put in place until we get through final demo permits and new construction permits. I'll pay the violation, that's fine, but because it was done, I understand that.
We would like to submit those new photographs into the record. Those were the photographs we took today.
Yeah, yeah. Mike, just one other question is that, for the village, to apply for a demolition permit,
Building permit.
Correct.
you have to have a building permit.
Which they have applied for the building permit. We can see that, but that's all we see, the application. This doesn't show that this application has been reviewed. It doesn't show that the fees have been paid, any of that. So that's not good enough. We need to see a permit that's moving, it's in process, it's being processed. So we can see that they are heading towards getting that demolition permit. And in the meantime, they should maintain the property. Tires and things like that should not be, right. There are some things they can do to make the place look decent instead of leaving it as an eyesore for the community.
At least wash.
Absolutely.
Can I see the pictures? Is that possible?
Sure.
Thank you.
Those are from today. And you can see the tire on the side over here on the fence and,
And there's a sink beside it.
And the siding was still in need of cleanup.
And there's screens on the other side of the house that are
Just for-
leaning up against the house.
just for clarity, once again, I just wanted to get it in my head. A demolition fence, construction fence cannot be applied for until a permit? I mean, could they go ahead and get the demolition construction fence on this? That would resolve a lot of the issues.
Demo.
They do have a building permit, so they can apply for a construction fence.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, so let me just, so we technically we cannot demo until the new project is fully approved. But ideally, we can get a fence, a demolition fence up, not do any work, just get the fence up.
Correct.
Right? So we can secure the property. That's all I'm requesting.
that's what I'm trying to get clarity on.
And think about it, if your family lived across the street from this and your kids were out playing in the yard, how would you like to have it like that? And if your house was across the street and you were looking to sell it, and this is what the appraisers are coming by to look at, it's not helping anybody or anything to leave it
I
in
understand.
such
I understand.
disrepair.
Believe me, I understand, and there's nothing more than I would like to see that this neighborhood continue, getting as beautiful. So therefore, I think the best solution is we'll pay the fines, and tomorrow I can speak with Espe and see if I can get a demolition fence up, so at least there's no eyesore for anyone. They would just see the fence. I think that's the most practical, while we wait the next 90 days, or I don't know how long it'll take for PNZ to finish approving the project, but it's a solution. I think it's logical.
Absolutely, but even with the fence, I would prefer that you remove the tires and the things that
100%.
are.
And not- because even a construction fence doesn't. make every
I'll have, so today's Wednesday. If you give me, if you give me through end of next week, I promise I'll have everything cleaned up. As far as like securing the shed doors and the side doors, they're in such bad shape that the only thing I can think of is like drilling a lock. But I cannot guarantee that they won't just fall down because they are just in very like.
Piece of plywood screwed onto it wouldn't secure
Right,
it.
that's fine, that's not a problem, but it's not gonna fix the problem that we just brought up of the eyesore, right? Like that, it's
But
still
it-
gonna look.
But
as
it's
bad.
gonna make it safer for children and
I agree,
the neighbors.
But I think the safest thing is for us to be able to close down the entire perimeter. So there will be no access to the property.
And in our department, we want to see you make effort
No, I
to,
understand.
because if
I-
you're making effort, we really are after compliance. The reason we bring cases to the board is because we are not able to get in touch with you. We're not able to talk to you, and we're not able to get you to do the simple things like pick up the tires. So if you can do those small things and we come to the property and see that you are working and doing something, we are happy to work with you.
Okay, so, now that I saw the pictures, now I understand everything clearly. I promise, you have my word, by end of next week, everything will be taken care of in terms of picking up the trash. I honestly didn't see a tire missing. I'll make sure the doors are secured with a piece of plywood. I'll speak with Espe tomorrow. I know Friday's her last day. I'll speak to her before anyways. To see if we can at least apply for the securing for the demo
Structure.
fence. And look, I apologize, and I'm open to pay any violation is deemed necessary, because it's the right and correct thing to do. So that's my 2 cents.
I just want to know a time frame for the orders to get out, orders of enforcement. 2 weeks?
By the end of next week, right? 2 days.
2 days.
Okay,
They'll be by the end of 2 days.
by the end of next week?
Well, by the time you put them in,
No,
it's done, but they have to go certified.
I know, that's what I want to know. So 10 days?
Yeah, with 10 days.
gotta go.
We can do
Well,
10 days. with them.
I mean, we can get them, but I just want to know what's the time for a resident to actually legally, or
I would say
receive
March
it.
10.
I had 13, but, because that gives them to the weekend.
Better.
Okay. Unless anybody else would like to make the motion, I'll make the motion. To find a violation occurred and to assess a $250 fine, to have the property brought into compliance by securing the property and removing the debris on it by March the 13th. If not, assess a daily fine of $250 per day commencing on March the 14th.
Second. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Oh, and that would include, sir, cleaning the siding, please.
Yes.
'Cause that will show above the fence.
And, Mr. Nibs, if I'm open to meeting with you, if you'd like, maybe Friday, and we can walk together and you can point out specifically, so I make sure I do it 100% right.
Sure, that's not a problem.
I'm going to come by tomorrow. Come by tomorrow to see Espe, and if I see you, we can schedule the time for Friday. Oh, okay.
Got it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
We appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Just on a side note, I will be sorry to see that property leave because it was a cute little house at
Right.
one time.
It really
Yeah.
was, yeah. It has
Just
character.
fallen into disrepair.
Are you 515 or 599? 15.
Is this the first one? 515?
Yeah, that's the next one.
Luciano Nibs,
Good day.
Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. Our next case, CEN-22-85, address 515 Northeast 115th Street, property owner Armando Soto, TRS, and 1 Bayview TR. Violation, Chapter 16.14, double fee. This is for construction of a deck without a permit. In regards to this case, it was brought by the building department that an inspector came across a constructed deck that had no permit for this property.
And there's still no permit?
A check of the building department's record indicated that there has not been any permits obtained as of today's date.
Question.
Hi, good evening. I'm Armando Soto. I wish I could say I live in the village and I own a bunch of properties here, but it's just one. I had purchased this home for my mother, whom unfortunately I lost to battle with cancer. And in the last couple of months, while I've been getting her affairs in order, I did receive the violation notice, and I spoke with Mr. Nibbs in regards to obtaining a permit. The contractor that did the work for me, first he indicated he didn't need a permit, so he went ahead and did the job. And when the violation came across, and I told him that he needed to pull the permit, he told me he would pull the permit. There was a lot of back and forth going on, and eventually he disappeared because he had all my money. I contacted a handful of contractors, and they indicated that because the work was already done, they weren't going to pull a permit for work that they're not performing. Fortunately, I found an engineer and the general contractor that working remediating work that has already been done. And they did an inspection of the deck. Fortunately, the deck is structurally sound and it was well built. But because of the size of the deck, they indicated that they have to get an architect to make plans to present with the permit. So I know that I think it's been a timeline of about 2 months. I know 2 months is a long time, but apparently in the Miami contractor world, it goes by pretty fast. So
I'm not surprised to hear that.
I want to apologize, and I'm not arguing that this was not done. This is done. I just hope that under my personal circumstances and the unprofessionalism of the gentleman that performed the work initially, that you just give me more time. I do have a very nice lady that I'm working with, and she told me, just make sure that you show up and you tell them what's going on, and keep in touch with the village. And in the coming weeks, we will be filing a permit to make sure that everything's legalized accordingly, and everything's up to code.
Comments?
No comments. No. I mean, I see, I've listened to the testimony and I don't have any comments.
It's a tough situation in that ultimately it's the property owner who is responsible. I understand, and we've all been down the road of contractors who, let's just say, haven't lived up to their licensing and anything else, but it still falls to the property owner to know, because ultimately you're
I
responsible.
completely understand that, and I'm not pointing fingers. I should have done some more due diligence myself. So I agree with you. I am ultimately responsible.
Is there a for sale sign up on that property now?
It is. I have to sell the property because unfortunately my mother can't move in because I lost her to cancer last year.
I'm so sorry.
You inspected this yet?
When the building inspector was out there, because they were doing other types of construction, so when he saw the deck, he called us out there. We did go, both of us, and I did see the shed myself. the deck. It's very well done, by the way,
Hmm.
but there were no permits, and I checked again, I kept checking the system, no permits. If you had contacted us when you got the notice of violation, I would have probably given you time to get that after the fact permit without bringing you to the board, but I didn't hear from you. And, like I was telling the other gentleman.
Notice of violation was
Compliance.
November.
No, I completely understand. I had gone down to the department because I painted the house and I needed to file for the color as well. And when I saw Mr. Nibbs, I mentioned that I was working on the deck permit and it was to the latter part of last year and I had a lot going on and I did fall out of touch.
I just have a question for the village, given that the property owner has stated that he's, working with someone in the process of submitting plans and now needs an architect to do it. Indicated that it'll take a couple of weeks for him. After that, it needs to go before P and Z, and that's gonna take maybe a couple of weeks. So we're looking at a month,
Yes.
correct? Okay,
Realistically.
those are the only questions I have.
Realistically, that whole thing, I think probably a good 6 weeks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just everything taking a long time.
No, I
Yeah.
fully understand. No, I just wanted clarity as
Sure.
listening to the property owner and that, and it's a beautiful job, beautiful house. So, if no questions, I'll motion. Like to make a motion that a violation has occurred in addition on case number CEN 22 85. In addition to the double permit fee that would be issued by the village, to assess a fine of $250, have a bring into a permit pulled by April the 7th. If not, assess a $250 a day fine thereafter.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
One last thing I wanted to mention, there's been a change of staffing in the department, building and planning and zoning. In case that we are not able to process the paperwork in 6 weeks, I would like to mention it in front of the board that you can come and ask for an extension. That will present it to the board for you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's very important. So if you don't get your permit by April 7th, has to be put before us for an extension.
Thank you very much.
All right?
Thank you for remembering that, Tony. That is critical in all these cases because particularly now that there's a staff change coming, done, whichever. Yeah, we have to be flexible.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Linda.
Yes.
Luciano Nibbs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. Our next case, that would be an old business. Case number EEN 21-0753. Address 11201 Northeast 9th Avenue. Property owner Michael J. Lynott and W. Lee. Violation, chapter 16.1. Rain gutters installed without a permit. This was issued June 30th, 2021. In reference to this case, I am the custodian of records. On August 9th, 2021, the property owner achieved compliance with a $250 fine and obtained a permit PB 21-0673. At this time, I'd like to
It wasn't paid for until for February of this year. So he didn't come into compliance.
He just obtained the permit. Like he said, we are custodians of record, meaning we were not here when this occurred. But we have our good lady, Miss Linda, here as a witness. She will come forward and testify to why Michael was not able to make this payment. Why the case went on this long.
While she's doing that, I'll just note that on the past due notice, that was the date, October 23rd. It was a month off. And I understand things may change, but because it said commencing.
He says he's on his way. He just sent me a.
On the order of enforcement, it was November the 23rd, commenced from November the 23rd, and then on the past due notice. Just a,
It's a minor. thing.
yeah, minor, but,
Unfortunately, we had to.
okay.
I have to ask Judy, have you been
Yeah.
communicating with Mr. Leonard on this case?
I just sent him a text and said, you're up.
Okay.
Anyway,
This is no different than when you as a commissioner heard a variance. We are not supposed to communicate, and if you do, you got
Haven't
to
been.
admit it, you just communicated with him.
I just sent him a text and
Except-
said he's up. Okay.
Please don't do that. That is not within our purview.
Would like to submit into the record, the receipt that Michael paid, the
Thank you.
250, the order of enforcement. I said there were two of them. The other one, I thought he paid the 250, which was unnecessary. But, that is to show that he did try to comply, and then there was confusion about the daily fine because the permit wasn't obtained until a few days ago.
Yeah.
And that's what Linda is going to go ahead and explain to us.
I just want to give a little background that,
Linda,
when I
you-
was
Your name for the record.
on Linda Dillon, 712 115th Street. When this first came before the board, I was on the board at that time, and we fined Michael for putting up the gutters without a permit. And he was ordered to get the permit by a certain date with a daily fine. And he did apply for the permit. And I was the one who called to tell him the permit was ready for pickup. I have a date when I called him and the time that I called him. I did not get him on the phone. Normally, I leave a message. I cannot swear whether I left a message or not. I would like to think that I did because that is my usual procedure if I don't get the homeowner or the contractor, that I do leave a message. He claims he did not get any message whatsoever, and he did not pay for the permit. So months and months and months, actually, I think close to a year went by, and he did not get a permit. He also was sent a past due notice, and he claims he didn't get that either. We are more structured now than we were back when we were doing some of these things, to where we are making sure that when letters are sent, that they are sent certified, that copies of them are being admitted into the computer system. We were a little bit lax, maybe a lot lax, prior to recent months. So he did come in compliance. His fine was more than what the permit cost was in the first place. And I think he has made an effort to bring it up to,
Where I have
be
a
in
problem is
compliance.
we've heard a case like this before, where the person claimed, oh, I didn't know I had to go back and actually pay for my permit, and that person was fine. I'm having a problem, if he applies for a permit, he's lived here a long time. How do you not know you have to pay for the permit? I know, I don't wait around to be called. I'm more than one doing a calling because I want my permit. I want it to be done and over with. So that one I'm having a hard time with. Again, it goes to consistency. And if we have fined people who use that as a defense before, I'm always concerned about when we vacillate off consistent track.
I hear you, Janie.
I hear about coming.
Yeah, but, and I understand, and I know, having heard the previous ones also, but recently we've gone back and when we haven't sent our mail, certified mail, when we have a resident who is testifying they haven't received it, when we now have a village, volunteer saying that, yes, I I called, but I can't say I, left a message. How is a resident, now I know a resident should know to come and pick up their permit or follow up on it,
That's
but
more of a-
yeah, I hear that.
Not the, past due note.
Mhm.
That's true. That should have been sent certified properly.
Mhm.
That's a different thing. I'm more focused on the, how do you apply for a permit and not know you have to go pay for it? That's kind of where I got a problem.
And the fact that it was an after the fact permit, procedures are tend to be a little different in that it's already installed. I've paid my fine, I remember the case, contested the fact that, he had to, get a permit for a gutter. But we explained that it was an attachment to the, building itself. You need a permit. He paid the fine, paid the double permit fee, put in for it. My feeling is a little different than, some of the other cases in the past, and the fact that we didn't provide the, notices via certified mail.
Yep.
I'm at a point where I would make the motion to find that compliance has been occurred and to
Rescind the daily fine.
rescind the daily fine.
All right, I can see your point. I'm willing to change my perspective. I would second that.
But anybody else? Feelings?
I just think the amount of the fine for what it is kind of astronomical and again, without the certified letters.
Well, that was my motion. Do I need to restate it?
You would gotta dismiss the case and
Go ahead.
rescind
So that-
Well, not
go
dismiss the
ahead.
case, but, find that, dismiss the daily fine that compliance did occur. And, the fees, the, fine and the, after the fact permit, was paid, and to, dismiss any
The
daily fine.
accrual. And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0, motion passed.
Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne Park. Next case, EEN 19-1679, address 599 Northeast 118th Street, property owner Jose Lopez and W. Olga I. Violation, fence constructed without a permit. This was issued February 15th, 20. At this time, we're asking the board to dismiss due to no photographic evidence attached to this case. In regards to the case, the property owner stated that there was a chain link fence and that was purchased when they was installed when they purchased the property in 1980. And evidence was submitted which shows under extra features the chain link fence that was built.
The evidence we've submitted is from the property appraisers. I had to go and look it up, and we found that what the property owner was telling us was true, that this property was purchased with this fence in 1980. Unfortunately, the case, custodian of record again, the case did not have any pictures that I could,
In the original case.
the original case that was issued, that did not have any photographic evidence. So I'm not able to come before the board and say there was a violation because I cannot give you any evidence.
Would make a motion that in case
EEN 19.
EEN 19-1679, that we dismiss for lack of evidence.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Luciano Nibs, Code Compliance Officer, Village of Biscayne. Our next case, EEN 20-00808, address 11525 Griffin Boulevard. Property owner Arnold A. Quintain and W. Joan. Violation, Chapter 8.4.1, property maintenance, failure to clean roof. At this time, we're asking for a continuance for the property owner to achieve compliance.
The property owner said she did not receive the notice of violation. Again, I couldn't go into the records and find a certified mail record to show that this was actually sent to them, that we did have service on this particular violation. We are custodian of record again. So the violation does still exist. The roof is still dirty. So what she asked for was some time for her to be able to find a contractor to clean her roof.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because I had a few questions, like, why so long? The notice was in January of 2020.
It's quite a few
Be
years.
inspected September of 20. I mean, the roofs get dirty quickly, especially with airplane traffic now.
Yes.
I mean,
Exactly.
they're dropping soot, so I would be hard to say that this wasn't in compliance at the time. And now, 3 years later.
3
it's
years
dirty
later.
Again, so I would like to table this until, or what would be a proper motion for this?
But do you need us to give you a time?
She's asking for
Okay.
time.
Oh, yes.
She wasn't able to attend because she's working.
Mhm.
And she did swear that she never received this violation. There was no courtesy notice.
Well, of course, over the course of 3 years.
3 years,
little
and I can go
time, but
back 3
okay,
years into the
we'll-
record
We'll go with that.
to prove that she actually received the violation.
Mhm. No.
Do we want to give her a deadline? No fine, but to give her a deadline. And
Yeah.
if she doesn't meet that deadline, then a daily fine.
Today is the 22nd.
And by the time she gets the order of enforcement, it'll probably be the end of next week.
Yeah, but to hire someone,
Yeah.
I would say, our next hearing is March the 27th.
Correct.
So, I mean, I would like to give a motion to grant an extension to come into compliance by March the 20 well,
Well, you want to give it so enough time that if she has to come back in front of us, they can send out the notices.
yeah, that's,
Right. I did tell her that I would bring her to the next hearing for her to come and
and, yeah, but they send out notices how far in advance?
10 days.
Oh, that's 2
So
weeks.
she'll have a couple weeks. But even though we send notices like that, she still has the day before the hearing to come into compliance. We still go back to re-inspect these properties before the hearing.
Come into compliance by March the 15th, would that be enough time?
Can we do the 26th, so we give her another week?
Give her, that would be,
Right,
that would be a
2.5
month,
weeks.
over a month.
Oh, that would be over. a month.
March
Oh,
15th should work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, well,
So your motion is March 15th.
15?
Yeah,
Okay.
to come into compliance, if not a daily fine of, $150.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
So there was no fine,
No,
just come
no.
into compliance.
Right.
If
Thank
not,
you.
if-
Who second the motion? Jane?
Janie,
Well, we should probably take a sidebar for a moment and explain to Mr. Lenot.
Is that you?
Yes, I don't know. Michael, would you like to go to the podium and we'll explain what we did?
to say it might be best if Michael not say anything.
Yeah.
He's an attorney. Sometimes they like to talk.
Bye, Mike. So, we obviously dismissed the daily.
And thank you, Mike. So is there anything else? I mean, our next meeting,
Yeah, we cleared all the cases, correct? Okay. Now we have a couple of things. I want to make sure, because Judy wasn't here in January, so I'm gonna go over those meeting dates too. Judy, my theory being that we're such a small board, we don't have 5 members and we don't have an alternate. So what I want us all to try to do is if we know far enough in advance that we're gonna miss a meeting, bring it up so that we can hopefully reschedule, because it's a risk with one person out.
June 21st, I can't.
Okay, so let's do.
I will be out of town.
Okay.
Is there no way we can do this like with one person FaceTiming?
That's a good question. The commission does. Zoom, it would have to be Zoom. FaceTime won't count.
I would love that, but I am adamantly opposed to it.
Okay.
I find it disrupts the continuity of any discussion
In which
and
case, we will not do it. I will respect you, Dale, you know that. So. Okay,
Now, mine has 2 October 18th.
oh, you need the clean version. That he just.
got his hand in.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so
So
just going to March. March has now been moved to the 27th. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
April is on me because I'm gone for the week. The meeting normally would have been April 26th. Is that okay with everybody? Because I'm gone the week prior, which would normally have been when we met.
Can we, maybe cut this short and say, these are the proposed dates? You have
Back
to
at the
follow
next
it
meeting
to
if you have a
communicate
problem.
it.
Well, Judy already said the 21st. and
Right.
We deal with June. Right, Judy, you said the 21st was
I'm
probably.
going to be gone for probably 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty hard to reschedule. We'll just have to wing it. You know, a week is easy. We can work around it, but if you're gonna be gone 2 or 3 weeks,
Driving.
we'll have.
Is it possible for the members to send us the dates that they'll be busy so we can work around those dates with the calendar and then we'll send it back for approval?
Good idea.
At least for the next 3 months, I
Right.
think we're good. March,
Yeah.
April, and
March,
May.
April, and May is fine. June-
Okay,
So it's the
June
rest.
will
of the
have
year.
to be fine if it's on that long. I'm sorry, if Judy's gone that long. Excuse me. Because you really don't have any flexibility to move it.
Well, Janie, the way I'm looking at it, up until those next 3 months, anything after that, I may have a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, if we can commit to March, April, May,
Okay.
we have tentative dates. And if more than one of us, another person is out on June the 21st, then we have an issue. If not, wait a minute, who was that resident that came up here and he said he lived here 4 years? Let's talk to him about getting involved.
Well, depending on what I would think, we can try to be flexible with June too. But yeah, after that, it's a little far out. But I think it is critical. It didn't used to be when we had 5 and an alternate, somebody was out there. Well, now it does become a lot more critical that if possible, we bring it up, we let staff know, they can give me the calendar around and come back for our approval. So should we do that? Come back, we'll agree at this point that March, April, and May are fine. And as soon as possible, preferably sooner than later, we'll work on June, since we know June is a potential issue. Is that okay with everybody?
That's good with me.
Cool. And, oh, the other thing, this one's on me also. I should have called for a vote on your absence at January's meeting. I didn't get a reason from Champagne, so it slipped my mind, but normally when we need to be absent, if the meeting, from a meeting, we need to tell her and tell her why. Because then it comes to us so that we vote on that absence, excused or not excused.
I did tell her, and I told Mario, and I told them why. I told them
Okay.
I was gonna be
It
at it.
didn't get to me, so I forgot, and I should have actually had the vote in January, but whatever. It's obviously excused, I'm sure. So I think that's about it.
Yeah. So yeah, normally we don't go to the properties.
No, right.
That's represented
Exactly.
and we don't, residents know they need to show up.
Right.
But other than that-
That,
I didn't discuss anything with
No,
him.
no,
I
I know,
said,
I
"He's
know,
here."
but it just keeps it
yeah.
nice and simple.
One of the big things is that we remain showing our objectivity, because when we deviate, or particularly with fines or anything else, it leaves us open to being thought of as biased or subjective. If we stay objective and on point, it just makes the system smoother. So yeah, those two things, we don't see the property and we don't text the guy coming in front of us. Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, staff. And thank the commissioner for hanging in.
Yeah.
Oh.